How's it going today, guys? You know, I started building this Holz Hausen in late August, early September, and I was wearing a t-shirt and it was really hot and sweaty, and we've come full circle. It's now mid-October. We had our first heavy frost 2 nights ago, knocked a lot of leaves down from the trees, and we're ready to keep moving forward working on our Holz Hausen. I was gonna film the Holz Hausen the last couple days, but it was so cold and windy, it just didn't seem like good days for it. Just for a reference, right now, around here is about 5.5 feet tall. I'm 6 feet tall, so we're about 5.5 feet tall. And what I've done is I built the Holz Hausen so it mounds up a bit in the center. The diameter of this guy is 8.5 feet. So the taper, it went from 9 feet at the bottom. I'm now at 8.5 feet. When you build your first Holz Hausen, don't expect to have your walls this far out. It's taken me several tries to get the walls this good. And it still works if you've got more angular walls, but I gotta say this is by far the best I've built yet. And I'm pretty happy with that. When I've gotten to the top, what I've been doing is I've been letting my logs level out or even go a touch high. And I would say it wasn't until the last foot or so that I started kind of, taking that into account. It's become very natural for me now that when I build, I just read the logs kind of instinctively, and I'll kind of balance the fat end on the outside of the holes and the fat end on the inside, so it goes up in a fairly straight manner. There's a few parts here where you'll see here, I've got a log to kind of raise it. There's a few parts where I haven't had to use a log to raise the outside to keep that angle. And maybe my next one or the one after that, maybe I can get around the whole outside and have none of these little helper logs. What I've been doing is as I've been splitting, I've been, when I get a bigger log or even a smaller log, I've been cutting the bark off of the logs. So I've got a whole bunch of logs that look like this, so I've been taking pieces from the outside. And what I'm gonna do with these is I'm basically gonna end up shingling the entire roof with these logs. We'll just lay them on top and we'll shingle it, and then we'll put some more on top. And I've also got I've got some cutoffs from when I was milling, and I only had like one wheelbarrow. I thought I had a lot, but then I cut them into pieces. So these are some cutoffs from milling, so we can use those too. And all we want to do is when we put these guys on top is make sure that they slope towards the outside, so this hole is going to shed the water. I milled that piece of lumber myself this summer. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, guys, we're gonna keep moving forward, but please forgive me, I'm gonna put my glasses on. The sun is like right in my eyes. So what I've been doing when I've been splitting my wood and trying to pick logs for the top, and this one I sawed, but what I've been doing is looking for logs that are not free, They have nice flat outsides. I don't want any bulges on them that I can lay on the top. And I want to do that so it's easy to layer the logs, but I also want to do that because when I take these off, I don't want to have to fight them to split them. It's going to be the middle of the winter, and I don't want to be out on a cold day fighting logs to split. These logs, if you've got one sitting for a year or two, these logs will be dry enough by winter, unless they're just covered in really wet snow or it's been rainy for a while. These will be pretty much ready to burn. Bring them in the house for a day, let them dry out, and they're going to be good to go. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start laying our logs on top. I mean, if you've got enough space that you can have a little bit of an overlap, that's cool. That'll get some of the wood away from the sides. And we want to have, you know, a slight overlap on our logs. And we want to make sure they pitch upward again. So don't be afraid to grab one from the inside. This one is sawn and it's rolling again. Now I've only done a roof on one of these before, so I'm kind of making this up as I go. But you know, take your time, figure it out. And you know, if you just get started, the solution usually comes. So now what I'll do is I'm going to end up going around and doing a few feet of this. And by the time I do a few feet, my Holz Hausen is going to be, you know, another 6 inches higher or so. So before I do the next row going farther in, I'll throw some more splits on the inside, and that'll bring the level up. And it looks like I need to actually bring it up quite a bit because I also want to keep that angle to it so the water goes away. I'm happy to say that yesterday I finished the Holz Hausen, and I gotta say that I've just got this incredible feeling of exhaustion. It's almost like when I do a project that I've been on for a couple weeks for my day job. I've got this incredible feeling of exhaustion, but yet fulfillment and exhilaration at the same time. I had some trouble with the audio yesterday, so the last clip I shot wasn't good, so I figured I'd come out today and just kind of go over a few things with you. The way I built the roof, just things I've learned. I mentioned yesterday that this is only the second time I've ever done a roof on one. But what I've been doing is I've been taking the outer split of logs, so if the log is pretty big, I've been just taking the outer split and trying to keep them fairly thin, and then just stacking them up like a normal roof. And you'll also notice that the first row I've done one row and then I've kind of doubled up that one row. So you've got two and then you've got another one there. And once I did that, I just worked my way inward. And every time I went up, like the first row, I'd have to throw some wood in to get because you're raising the height, so I'd throw some wood in and then I'd keep going. So it was a process of stacking the shingles or the outer parts of the logs and then the wood in the middle. And you don't have to use the outer part of the logs. If you've got it though, as you're splitting your wood, put these pieces aside. That's what I did, is I just put those pieces aside. So I had them for later when I actually built the holes. The ideal size, as you're looking around, this is like the ideal size. This is ash. Ash is it splits very nicely. But the ones I had that were like really huge, like there's one over here, there's one up here. This one worked out okay, but your sweet spot seems to be this size here. But I guess, anything is better than nothing. Just with those really long ones, it's tough to get them skinny. The skinnier also seems to be a little bit better. But it's one of those things. I mean, this is only the second one I put a roof on, and it's clearly better than the first one was. So maybe that'll at least get you a little farther along your way. One question I often get asked about the Holz Hausen is, how do I get the wood off the top? And all I can really say there is you just grab a piece. What I'll probably end up doing is I have a little 3-step step ladder. I'll start at the top and just start grabbing pieces and be careful it doesn't fall on me. I mean, that could happen. It hasn't happened yet, but as you're digging into the pile, it will collapse a little bit and you just have to, stay awake. I wouldn't really send my wife or my son or even my daughter out to get wood off the holes unless I knew it was very stable, or my son or my wife had the reflexes and the common sense. That's what I'm looking for, the common sense to notice when other pieces of wood are falling. But yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit's gonna fall, but you just don't be underneath it when it comes down. I did end up marking out a circle over to my right here. I'm not gonna transplant that tree. That tree is doing so well that I don't wanna move it, but I am gonna build another one 10 feet in diameter over here. And I've got everything marked out, so I'll have to go out and buy maybe 3 or 4 yards of gravel, make sure I bring the grade up, but then I will just work on that one maybe a little bit slower than this one. And just as I split the wood, I'll just bring it over. So for me, being organized is very important. So I won't have just a pile of loose splits over there. I'll split them and put them right onto the Holz Hausen and keep moving. But guys, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty thrilled with the results. This is by far the best one I've built. Your first one may not look like this, or maybe it will. But I'm pretty excited. Thank you for sticking with me through the series. I know this was a 3-parter and took a while to get done. But thanks for sticking with me, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.